My first time participating in Inktober wasn't exactly life-changing. It didn't help my hair grow fuller and longer in 31 days, or give me 8 uninterrupted hours of sleep per night, but it was 100% worthwhile. Drawing daily gave me a reason to play and experiment. As I flip through my sketchbook, I'll be talking about some of the things that I discovered this past month. Oh, and by the way, be sure to look out for the title on each page. It was a fun way to challenge myself further by coming up with a title based on the drawing. Only once did I come up with the title before the drawing, and I'll let you know when we get to that page. In these early days, my drawings were fast, sometimes messy, and not planned out whatsoever. And for some reason, I felt the need to use both black and brown pen. I'm not really sure why. I guess I thought it would add to the drawing somehow, but I ditched the brown at some point. I'm pretty sure day 7 was the first time I sketched my plan with a pencil beforehand. I do think there are benefits to going straight in with pen, like not overthinking, being bold with your decisions, and not being able to go back on them. But planning with a pencil also has its perks, like having the ability to go for a more detailed or ambitious drawing, knowing that you can erase and change things as needed. So throughout the month, I did both. But I found that I preferred the pencil approach, making sure I was happy with the outline before finalizing it. The small details, coloring and shading, I added afterwards. I also noticed that I was spending more time on my artwork as the weeks went by. I was enjoying the process itself, no longer seeing the finished drawing as an item to be checked off my daily list, but actually loving the experience. Day 12 was one of those eye-opening days. I know this sketch is fairly simple, but take a look at those tiny hatch marks on the spider's legs and the light stippling around the body. It felt like I was finally doing things with intention. Things began to click in place. And actually, I made 3 different videos in October about adding stippling and hatching to your already existing drawings based on what I was discovering with my own daily drawing. I'll link those down below in the description. Day 15, this was the one time that I had a caption in mind beforehand and then I created the drawing after. And day 16, I tried to consider my values more than I had previously. Were all of my drawings basically falling into the midtones? Adding dark, bold elements would take some getting used to, but I was ready to make an effort and think about my lights, my mids, and my darks. Day 18, I'm once again experimenting with stippling, using small dots for the blood vessels of the eyeballs, rather than harsh lines. Day 19, I tried to use little dashes and lines for the outline of the body, rather than just a bold outline. And for day 20, this one is actually really funny to me because it wound up looking just like my favorite soup, tom kha, with its creamy coconut broth. Day 21, I was really happy with the stippling and the hatching on the bones on this one. And I'm curious to hear from you guys, how many of you draw on a regular basis? I was definitely not drawing consistently before this art challenge. I have been painting pretty consistently over this past year, but I've been neglecting my drawing. I'm not sure why I wasn't making drawing a priority whatsoever, when honestly, drawing is sort of at the core of most art. Even when you're painting, being able to draw yourself an outline to get started is important. And I find myself wondering, why do we often feel that we can skip the important steps, gloss over the fundamentals? I suppose it's human nature. We're programmed to jump into the parts that we're most excited about, believing that we don't need to worry about the rest. But I'm starting to see the big picture more clearly. Unless I'm focusing on abstracts, then I need to level up my basic drawing skills in order to accomplish what I want. I have big dreams of painting cityscapes and portraits, but how can I expect to paint a recognizable human face without first at least studying the basics of face shape, understanding how light and shadows can affect the shape and appearance of a person's features? These are important things to know, and I am not one of those gifted artists who seem to have what it takes from kindergarten. These skills don't come naturally to me, and that's okay. Most of us will have to put in the work if we want to improve. In November, I'll be putting more of a focus on improving my values while hopefully continuing to draw daily. So, here we are, on to the last day of the month, October 31st. I did fill up the rest of my sketchbook though, so I'll quickly show you the last handful of pages as well. I am happy with the direction that my art is heading, and I'm excited to see where I'll be in another month's time. All right, let's see what else we have in this notebook. That was quite possibly the largest amount I've ever filled in black before. And this next one here, this was an exercise in working with negative shapes. And I especially like the way the clouds turned out. There's so much that can be done with this approach. This Wendigo, he's pretty ridiculous. I drew the top half of his body and then I realized I have no desire to draw his lower half. I don't even want to consider what a Wendigo has going on downstairs. And so I constructed a wooden fence. This drawing with the skull flowers is one of my favorites. I had so much fun with the tiny details. Take a close look at the lines and dots along the stem, for example. It just added a really cool texture. Can you tell we're still in full Halloween mode here? And for this guy, the stippling along the neckline was a really good practice for creating shape. And this one was really just about trying out different techniques. The background isn't quite what I was picturing in my mind, but it's a start. And if you watched my video on drawing this creepy cute monster, then you'll recognize the Goofy Goober. The bobcat skull was my first attempt at using stippling for the whole drawing, so I guess that would be pointillism? Is that the right term for nothing but dots? And this girl in the rain, she started out as a messy scribble of a pen sketch, and then I slowly began refining each area. The only time I used pencil was actually at the end when I was trying to accentuate the darker values. And this one was surprisingly fun for me, watching it go from a blob of scribbles to something kind of cool. And it's a method I'll be trying again for sure. And last but not least, we have the Friends of the Goofy Goober. So that was my month. I hope you'll join me for Gnome-vember. Thank you for watching.